So hello everyone, thank you all so much for joining. For those that have joined already, I know that we'll be waiting on a few people as they're coming in throughout the session. So we'll just get started. So everyone, please welcome Shiranthi. She'll be speaking for us today, and we're really honored for her to be here to speak for us today. So I think we can just get right to it.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Shiranthi. As Preet said, I'm just going to share my screen because I made like a small presentation. So give me 1 second. Okay. Let me know if you guys can see it.
We can see it.
Okay. Looks like you guys can. All right. So again, my name is Shiranthi Jawahar. A lot of people called me Shiranthi in high school, but when I came to college, people just call me Shira. I'm currently the Executive Programs Associate at First Republic Bank. And today I'm just going to talk a little bit about college admissions and how to choose your career while you're in high school. So I'm about 21 now, so it wasn't too long ago that I graduated from high school, so I don't think the process has changed too much. But if you guys do have any like revisions or if I spoke incorrectly, just feel free to correct me at the end. Okay, so as I said before, my name is Shiranthi. I went to Washington High School and I graduated in 2018. And then I went to UC Davis and I graduated this past year. So I actually completed my degree in 3 years and I majored in managerial economics and in statistics, which are both BS degrees at Davis. Let's keep going. Okay, so in high school, there was a bunch of things I did in high school. Not all of them are super relevant anymore, but I'm just going to speak about a couple of them. So these are some of the coursework that I took that were really impactful when I came to college. So one of them was AP Statistics, then there was AP Econ Gov, AP US History, and AP Chemistry. So I took a lot more APs than this, but I'm just going to talk about how these specific AP courses kind of shaped my perception on what I wanted to do in college and in my career. So I really liked statistics, I really liked Econ Gov, and I also really liked US history. I'm like a big history fanatic. And then I took AP chemistry just because, I was like pretty decent at chemistry, so I thought it would be a good idea. And when I took this class, I realized that, chemistry, biology, physics, like those are really not the path for me moving forward. And I think that was a good decision made at the time. So just know that there's going to be some hard classes in high school, but you should still be thankful to take them because at least you know that's not what you want to do in your future. So that's the decision I came to after chemistry. These are three of the main things that I did within school. So I did DECA, I did parliamentary debate, and I did tennis. So for each of these different extracurricular activities, I set some goals for myself when I joined them freshman year. So for DECA, I wanted to go to the International Career Development Conference. And then for debate, I wanted to go to the Tournament of Champions. And then for tennis, I wanted to be on the varsity team. So obviously a lot of effort is required to achieve those in all three of these different extracurriculars, but setting goals for yourself is really great early on because then you can get across like certain checkpoints and evaluate whether you're actually following them or not. So I actually ended up achieving all three of this by the time I was a senior. So I went to ICDC my junior year, I went to TOC my junior year and senior year. Oh, also for DECA. And then I started varsity tennis like my sophomore year and I played through senior year. So basically, for all three of these things, I think the thing I learned the most was that I really enjoyed business and I really enjoyed talking and, oops, researching. And I say that because all three of these things require some level of like group activity and communicating. Debate was definitely my favorite. I was captain of debate for 2 years, and I definitely put a lot of time and effort into leading that team and really developing my public speaking skills. But I think all of these definitely made a huge impact in my high school life. And I talked about all three of these in my college application as well. The last thing on this slide is the congressional campaign. So when I was in high school, I was super involved in politics and and because I was in debate, I was always like researching and reading articles and reading research papers. And so I really wanted to get involved in the political scene back then. So I joined Ro Khanna's congressional campaign back when he was running. Well, now he's our congressman, but back then he was running. And I was like a neighborhood team leader for that. So I used to organize phone banking and canvassing events for that. And I realized though I really did have some kind of passion towards political science, I just didn't see myself doing this every single day for the rest of my life. So that was another thing I decided in high school. And on the right hand side, there's just a few pictures there. I just did it so the slide wouldn't look super messy and like bland. So you can take a look at those if you want. Okay, so now these are some tips for some college admissions. I'll go on to talk about my actual college experience in the next slide, but these are just some things to think about when you are graduating, or sorry, when you're finishing your junior year, going into your senior year. So these are just some things you can keep in mind. So first is you should start brainstorming answers to your essay prompts June after your junior year. And I know a lot of people think that's like really early, but when you think about it, these different colleges are asking you in their prompts to condense 18 years in your life into like 500 words. And I don't think that's like possible for a lot of people. So I think you should give yourself the time to really brainstorm and pinpoint different moments in your life that really define who you are. And then if you actually like delve into those moments and delve into those experiences, it's going to be a lot easier to actually write your college applications later on. So I would say start brainstorming in June and then use July and August to kind of mind map what prompts you want to answer and your overall like your answer itself. And then you can actually write your answers in August. And that means by the end of August, you're more or less done with most of your college applications. And I say this because once school starts, you are not going to have the same amount of time that you have over summer to really like go through the college application process. So in the months from like September to November when college applications are due, all you have to do is just revise and edit and come up with new iterations of your essays. And I think that's going to be a lot less stressful the first few months of your senior year if you plan ahead and do your applications over the summer. These are two questions I kind of asked myself repeatedly while I was doing my college prompts, but one is why do you have the passions that you have? So I feel like in high school you have a lot of different hobbies, you're involved in a lot of different extracurriculars, but there's a story behind every one of them, and I'll like share one of my stories with you guys. So I was really interested in like finance and economics because my family had like a really hard time with financial planning when I was growing up. So that was one reason why I felt like that was something I wanted to contribute to this world later. And then that goes on to the second question, which is like, what do you want to contribute to this world at the end of the day? And this is such a deep and like fundamental question that I really feel no 18-year-old should have the answer to. But sadly, I think colleges these days really want a person that's very well rounded and wants to make some kind of impact once they graduate college. So, really dig down and try to find that answer for yourself. The next tip is read and research about the college environment. I went to Davis. Davis, I loved like my 3 years at Davis. And I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I don't think Davis is for everyone. Like, I think that there is a very specific type of community there. And if you really feel like you don't fit into that community, it might be hard to like make friends and stuff. So, like, let's say like you really enjoy like partying and like the company of others and like beaches, like Davis is just not the place for you at all. So make sure you do your research before the college, before you start applying to that college. The last thing is that your major is really, really not important at the end of the day. I read the statistic the other day that 43% of incoming freshmen change their majors and another 17% change it throughout their college year. So, like, major really doesn't matter at the end of the day. But I would say that if you are engineering, you should probably like research a little bit ahead and see if like you can change into engineering or you can change out of engineering because I know a lot of colleges are super strict about that. But just a quick fun fact, one of my mentors and former managers at First Republic Bank was a nutrition major in college, and now she's working at a bank. So I see this kind of stories a lot, and it's like it's very common. So just know that like it's not the end of the world if you don't know your major. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about my college experience and my internships. So as I said before, I went to Davis for 3 years. I majored in man econ and statistics. So Davis is a very research heavy school. This is a school where there's a bunch of people who come in wanting to go to medical school and be doctors and veterinarians. I was like probably the only person in my friend group that wanted to like go into business. But all of my peers actually were doing research, and they really wanted to like get published and work under some kind of like scientist and then go to med school. So, seeing that this was the culture in my peers, I was highly motivated to find a research position of my own. And I also wanted to do something that I was passionate about. So, as I said before, I'm like super interested in like financial planning. So, I started doing research in microloans and microfinance in sub-Saharan regions in Africa. And this was like my passion outside of the corporate world. And I've been working on this research for a couple of months now. And obviously, it's going to take like years to get anything published. But I think this was like a good medium between who I was in the corporate world and like who I was in college. Another thing I did in college was I did Lashkara, which is this like Bollywood dance team. I had never danced before in my life. Like I never went to a dance class or anything. But then when I came to college, I was like, might as well like try out for this team. And lo and behold, I actually made it. And that those 2 years where I like was part of the team and became captain was also like two of the best years of my life. And that's like the photo in the bottom right hand side of the screen. And that really made my college experience too, because I got to travel around the country performing and being like with this group of people that I really adore. So now for the last two bullet points, they're just about my internships, and I'm not going to go super in depth about this, but I'm sure there'll be questions, so I'll answer them at the end. So when I graduated high school, I started my internship at First Republic Bank, where I was an integrated marketing communications intern. Honest to God, when I like was in this internship, I didn't even know what integrated marketing communications was, but I knew I wanted to be part of marketing. And I realized I love the culture, I love the people at this bank. But when I came into college, I wanted to try something new. So I actually applied to another internship at Morgan Stanley. And I actually had two different positions here because I worked here for like a fairly long time. And the first position was financial and legal consulting. The second internship was a sales enablement specialist. So you can see here that I kind of like moved around a lot, and I don't regret it at all. I think it's really important that you try different things as interns, because like when you're signing up for a job, you want to know what you're going to be doing day to day. So I didn't really mind like doing all of these different kind of things. But at the end of the day, when I graduated, I realized I wanted to go back to First Republic. So I came back to First Republic, and now I'm the executive programs associate. Okay, so these are some of my tips for succeeding in general, like post college, in college. And I think like a lot of people can relate to some of these. So the first is take initiative whenever possible. As an intern, when you're at these like big finance companies, and I would say the same for tech, you're probably not going to be given like some really important projects. Like you're going to be given projects, but I don't think like it's going to be one of those things where you can really vividly see the impact that you're making on the company. So if you see there's like something that's like inefficient in your team, or you see like something that could be done a different way, like I think it's in your best interest to bring that up to your manager and like make that as like a passion project of your own. And that's something I did when I was an intern, which is why I was given like the full-time offer after I graduated. I took so much initiative, and I think it's like really rewarding at the end to see like something that you suggested come into fruition. The second thing is to try something outside of your comfort zone. So I say this because like I feel like a lot of people do the same things in college that they did in high school, and that doesn't really develop your personality as much. So in college, you should definitely like just go out and do something random. Like I think me joining dance was probably one of the best decisions I made, because it really pushed me to learn something that I had never done before, and I don't regret that at all. And I feel like a lot of people would say the same for their college years. Also, to take classes on unknown subjects. I could like go on and on about this, but like here's some interesting like classes I took in college. I took a fairy tales class, I took like a mythology class, I took a geology class. Like these are all subjects that I was like slightly interested in before I came to college. And then I was like, might as well take it, because I don't know when else in my life I'm about to like explore any of these subjects, right? So go ahead and do that. I also say this because when I came to Davis, I knew I wanted to go into corporate, but I started taking a lot of these like core economics classes, like economic development, poverty dynamics, all of those kind of things. And I really found a passion for those specific types of economic subjects. And like I wouldn't have found that had I not taken those classes. So just make sure that like you don't put yourself on this like narrow path and you take everything that you want to take. Um, the second to last thing is taking advantage of research opportunities. This is especially if you're in the UC system. I saw the statistic that said that 10% of all research papers published in the world come from UCs. So like think about the amount of things you could like research on when you're in college and like to know that you discovered something, you can prove something, like it's just very rewarding and I think a lot of people could benefit from that. And then the last and the most important thing is to have mentors. Um, I started having mentors when I graduated from high school in my first internship, and I still keep in touch with her today. And I think this is really important because, like, when you're like a kid transitioning to college, transitioning to adulthood, like, there's a lot of things that are very uncertain in your life. And if you can have that one adult that you can talk to that can kind of guide you through the process or give you advice, like, teach you how to negotiate your salary or teach you how to apply to like certain places, like especially if you're trying to go into consulting or something like that. I think it's just very, very valuable. And I don't think you should limit yourself to one. I think you should have multiple for whatever different career paths you're thinking of having. And then always ask questions, check in with them regularly. Like if they get married or if they have like a child, like make sure you congratulate them, like show gratitude, like just maintain like a good relationship with them. And I think that's going to take you places in the future. So yeah, those are my tips for succeeding. And I think that concludes the presentation. I know I kind of breezed by everything. So if you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask.
Yep, definitely. That was a very good presentation. Um, I think okay. Yeah, hi. I think one question that I personally had was like college life. Like I know Davis, you talked a little about Davis and uh how its campus is like a little bit more about like professors or like how well do they teach based on your knowledge? Would they be like really helpful in certain aspects or like let's say classes over or lectures over, would they stay back and help you out if you have certain questions or anything like that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I can only speak on behalf of Davis for this, but I'm pretty sure this is like very applicable to all colleges. But there's going to be some professors that don't teach as well, and there's going to be some professors that do teach really well. And the good thing about Davis, or I guess any college, is that professors have office hours. So they have to dedicate certain time in their week to support students. So like if lectures like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, then their office hours can be like Thursday, like 7 to 9 p.m. And like you can go there. And that period of time is specifically designated for students to ask questions. I personally think the economics and managerial economics department at Davis and also statistics like is very, very good. I don't think I had like a severe problem with any of the professors. And I think that if you are vocal about your concerns, then there's no reason they wouldn't help you. I would also say that Davis professors specifically took extra effort during the pandemic to make sure that classes weren't a burden on you because a lot of people were experiencing different things. And I think like I don't know if a lot of other colleges can say that about their professors, but I think they were very like emotionally intelligent and they realized like what their students were going through. Um, but yeah, overall, like the classes were great. There are some classes that are like very big in which you don't get a lot of one-on-one time with the professor, but those are only your freshman and sophomore years. So coming junior and senior year, class sizes shrink a lot, like 3 to 4 times. So you're gonna get a lot of one-on-one time with your professor, which is obviously what you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Um, one more thing. Before we transition into the actual Q&A, could you speak a little bit more about how you applied to college? Like, if you're comfortable with it, how many colleges you applied to, or like, what was your thought process when applying to other colleges?
Right. So my parents, so this is like this was my situation, but I'm sure people had different ones. So my parents made it very clear that I wasn't going to be one of those students that applied to like 50 different colleges because they didn't want to spend money to do that. And that's like completely okay. And so I only ended up applying to around like 13 colleges, like which were the UCs and like some privates. And I think I only had like one safety school, but I like it was a safety school, so I knew I was going to go get into that one. But basically, it came down to like finances for me. So I can be very honest. So I actually got into Santa Barbara, San Diego, Davis, and then I was choosing between those three and then NYU. But my dream school was Columbia. Sadly, I did not get into there, but it's fine now. Um, but Davis actually gave me like Regent scholarship, which is like basically you enter the college with like a good amount of money and they subsidize a lot of things. And then I was also planning on graduating in 3 years. So it just made a lot of financial sense. It also didn't seem like the economics departments were a lot different than each other. Like they were pretty on par. So I was like, there's no harm like in me going to Davis. Also, I'm not like a big like beach person. Like I like having like a small community and I really liked what Davis stood for. And I can speak a little bit more on this if the question comes up, but like Davis really values like sustainability and like they value like making sure that, you know, the university is taking active action against like climate change, like all of those kind of things that I was obviously very passionate about. So it was a very easy decision for me to go to Davis. But yeah, I don't know. Did that answer your questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that did. That
Okay.
did. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I think we can now move into the Q&A. Participants, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I think there were two questions that I put out, or three questions. I think I can just share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so there were three questions. I've heard that it's very hard to change majors in the UCs, and is it possible to change the majors? And if it is, how do you know? Like, do you happen to know the process?
Yeah. So again, I can speak on behalf of Davis, but each college is a little bit different. But in Davis, as long as you're not engineering, it's actually pretty easy to switch colleges. So there is like obviously like prerequisites that you need to take before you switch any major. So I'm just going to provide an example because it's like a little easier to like think about it with an example. So let's say you go into Davis as like an art history major, but you want to like switch into computer science. That's gonna be, like, a little bit more difficult. It's very doable, but it's just gonna be difficult because, like, you're gonna not be able to get those computer science prerequisites. Like, I wanna give, like, a few examples, but maybe, like, the first, like, math series or the first, like, introductory CS class, all the incoming freshmen that are CS majors are gonna fill up all of those classes, right? So it's gonna take you a while to get those classes. So it might, like, put you back a quarter or 2, but let's say like you're switching from like economics, which is in like the letters and science department, and you're going into managerial economics, which is part of the agricultural school, actually. You're taking a lot of the same prerequisites anyways, so it's actually like very, very easy to switch from one to another. Or like even if you want to go from like econ to CS, I would say that's pretty easy too, because you still have to take the similar like math series, like statistics, like all that kind of stuff. So you are a little bit better off like going up to CS. But from what I know, it's like very hard to transfer like in and out of engineering. So like that makes sense because like obviously like engineering is super competitive. So colleges don't want some like incoming freshmen to like apply into art history and then like change into engineering because that's not really fair to all the other engineering students. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Got it. Got it. And how hard would it be to find internships when in college?
You know, this is a great question, and I think it really just depends on the individual and how much effort you're willing to put in. Colleges have these like career fairs. Like I think in Davis it was like once fall quarter and once spring quarter, and you can like go in and interview with different companies. And like even in the pandemic, they had a virtual career fair, so like they still managed to put one on. And as long as you go there and like speak about yourself and you have your resume and you're professional, you should be getting an interview somewhere. If you don't attend those career fairs, it might be a little bit more difficult, but at the same time, like it's really just the connections that you form. There's a lot of organizations in Davis and other colleges. Like there's like the Economics and Business Student Association. There's like consulting clubs. There's like fraternities, obviously professional fraternities. And if you're part of these organizations, they have a network of alumni that should be able to connect you with the jobs that you plan on interviewing for. So that's another path of getting these internships. But I know personally for me, like when I got my First Republic internship, it was very easy for me to like apply different places because the people I had met at First Republic had worked in different places. So they were just like, oh, obviously, like I can like refer you because I know your work ethic, I know what you like doing, I know what you're good at. So, it's really important to just like make those connections and secure them and keep in touch with all of them.
I see. Okay. The third one was, how did you balance your time with your jobs and internships along with college?
Oh, yeah. So, let me think. So, my sophomore year, I was working part-time off-site for my internship. I was also captain of my dance team, and I was like trying to graduate in 3 years. So, that was not an easy year for me at all. It was obviously very stressful, but I think there's like a couple of things that you can do. And I think the main thing is like having a really good support system. So I lived, and I don't know why I didn't talk about this earlier, but I met two of like my best friends in college as freshmen. Like they were my roommates, and then we ended up moving in together sophomore year, and like we lived together my junior year, which was also my senior year, and then we like graduated together. So like they were like one of my closest people, and they took some of the burden off my shoulders. Like this is something that's very simple, but let's say like I was out the whole day with classes and work and dance and whatever. So at the end of the night, if I had like a few dishes in the sink, like they would just wash them, right? And like those are kind of things that kind of make life easier for you in college. So having a good support system is really important. Another thing you can do is just like lighten your classwork load. You don't necessarily have to take 4 classes every quarter. Like I averaged like 4.5 to like 5 classes, but a lot of people just do 3 classes, and that's like pretty standard, and that's totally okay. You can take 3 classes every quarter and graduate in like 4 years for a lot of majors. So that's one thing. And if you do that, you could also take like summer session instead to like make up for work that you didn't do during the school year, which is like obviously I feel like instead of taking 4 classes every quarter and like killing yourself like during the school year, you can just take like 3 and then do like 2 over the summer. I think that's like a better choice for a lot of people just in terms of like mental health and stuff. So that was one thing as well. And I'm trying to think of anything else. But yeah, I think the last thing you can do is just make sure that you do things that make you happy other than school. So for me, that was like dance. When I went to dance practice, it was just like my mind was clear. Like I wasn't thinking about school, I wasn't thinking about work. So if that's like a sport for you, like I don't know if you play like tennis or baseball or something like that, you should do that. Or if that's like going to the gym like every single day, that's like one thing too. But just do things that also make you happy outside of school.
Right. That's pretty cool. A quick question. Do you live in a dorm now or
So, this is my room. I live at home. So I graduated college, and because I've been working from home, I've just been staying at home, like my parents' home. But naturally, like I do want to live like in an apartment in San Francisco, but like living costs there are pretty expensive. So I've been looking, but I haven't been able to find anything yet. And I lived in a dorm my freshman year. So, like, you're guaranteed a dorm your freshman year at Davis. But then, apart from that, like, you're not guaranteed anything anymore. Like, you have to find an apartment. The good thing about Davis, though, is finding an apartment is relatively cheap compared to like Berkeley or LA. Like, I was talking to a lot of my peers from high school, and I think I paid about like half the rent every month that they paid. So, like if that's a concern, like if finance is definitely a concern for you, like Davis is definitely the place to be because cost of living is very, very cheap there.
got it? Got it. There's a question. How hard is it to find roommates in Davis? Is there a particular process?
Yeah, so I can there's a lot of different ways you can find roommates. You can even go random, but I'll just go through the process of how I found my roommates. So there's actually a Facebook group once you like get into the college, and everyone posts on that Facebook group like what your interests are, like who you are, like what you're studying, all that kind of stuff. And then usually people comment on that, and then you can like reach out and meet people through that. And basically, when I was a senior and I had like committed to Davis, I was on that Facebook page, and there was this girl who actually went to American high school, and I had like kind of known her like through mutual friends, but I didn't really. So I reached out to her and I asked her if she wanted to like meet up for lunch or something. I don't remember what it was, but basically we both met up. We both realized like we really liked each other. We really liked the way that, I'm a really like clean, organized person. She was too. So we were like, this living situation is probably going to be good for us if both of us live together. And then we were looking for one more roommate because we wanted to live in a triple. So we just like scrolled through the Facebook page and we found this other girl, and we ended up having dinner with her in San Jose one time when she was visiting. And, honest to God, the three of us, we were kind of like, we'll be roommates, but I don't know if we're going to be friends because like we didn't know each other that well before we went to college. But once we went to college and we started living together, like within like 4 to 5 weeks, like we all became like best friends and it was fine. So I know like there's a lot of like horror roommate stories, and that's definitely a possibility. But I think as long as you meet the people you want to room with before you room with them, like that's definitely a good practice to have.
That's cool. I don't see any more questions in the chat, so I can stop sharing for now. And I think we can open up the Q&A to the audience. So everyone, it's feel free to speak up and ask their questions, or you can put them in the chat as well. So I'll just give like a minute or two for them to either like unmute themselves and speak up, or just put it in the chat.
Hi. So my question is to Shiranthi. Sorry. Yeah. So like my son now, just now he's into freshman. So does he needs to do whatever the major he is selecting? So he has to do the volunteering hours towards that, or anything which he likes it.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So it really depends. Like, I think that it's going to be kind of hard to find volunteering hours like similar to what you want to do when you're in college. But for example, like a lot of my friends wanted to go to med school, so they actually volunteered at like a hospital or they volunteered at clinics, and that's like a great start. But I wanted to go into like business and corporate, so I don't know how I was gonna volunteer at like a company. Like that's just not gonna happen. So my volunteer hours actually came from like teaching little kids how to play tennis, and I actually talked about that in my college application, and all I said was like I really enjoy being in the company of like little children and like giving advice and like, like teaching them something. And so that's what I did. But I think a lot of people have done like things related to their majors too. It's just kind of hard if you're going to do something like business or econ or I want to say like math or like statistics or like those kind of things, or even engineering. Like you can do like those coding for kids like camps. Though I know there's a bunch of them. Like you can volunteer there, and I'm sure you'd get like volunteer hours for them too. Or you could like volunteer with the city and like pick up trash or like that kind of stuff too. But I think if you can find something related to your major, that's great. But if you can't, then it's totally fine too.
Thank you.
Feel free to unmute if you have a question, or you can put it in the chat.
Uh, I I have one more question. Like, uh, kids are writing APs, different types of APs. So if my son is interested in towards computer science, so what is the score he has to get, like 4 or 5? What are the colleges look for?
Yeah, so for computer science, it doesn't matter because he's gonna have to take the preliminary computer science courses anyways at any of those colleges. Like for all the UCs, the APCS score doesn't really count for anything. And like I can say that for a lot of different things. Like even if you get a 5 in AP biology, you still have to take like the introductory biology courses. I think because I was in like business and econ and stats, like more of my APs counted because they're a little less strict for things like that. But I think you should definitely shoot for a 5 because that looks better on college applications. But regardless, he's gonna have to take the same courses as everyone else in college. That's how colleges like make money. So
Yep. So I just put the link of the Google document in the chat for anyone who'd like to access it and look at the previous questions asked, and maybe a different question clicks in their mind.
does a 4 on an AP course look good? Um, yeah, I think it's fine. Like, I'm trying to think, but like for example, I think I got a 4 on something. I'm not quite sure what it was, but like it still counted. And I think as long as like it counts, like if you're doing the AP test to get rid of like certain courses in college, like a 4 is definitely fine. And I would suggest like if you get a 4 on a Spanish or like a French exam, like that's completely fine because you would still get excused from taking a language in college. Obviously, like you should shoot for 5s, but I think like a lot of colleges these days do accept 4 and 5s. Just make sure you check with the college. But like obviously, like as you go up the UC ladder, like if you go to like Berkeley or LA, or if you go to like some private schools, like they may not accept it. So just like don't get your hopes up too much for that. But yeah.
Another question in the chat was, do internships value internships or community college courses more? Oh, or I think do colleges value internships or community college courses more?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, well, I think this is a tricky question because a lot of people in high school don't have internships, and that's fine. That's very normal. I think only in the Bay Area, like kids are expected to get some kind of internship like in high school, but like that doesn't happen anywhere else. So, um, I think that colleges like when you do something that you enjoy and that you're good at it. So like for example, like I didn't have an internship until after I graduated high school. Like I think it was the summer of 2018 that I had my first internship. So obviously I couldn't talk about it in my college application process. But I did have this like short like journalism internship for this stock predicting company. It was called Tino, and I really enjoyed like finance and like the stock market when I was in high school. So I used to talk about like their AI technology, and I would just like write blogs. And I really like writing. Like one of my favorite AP classes in high school were like AP literature. So I loved writing and I loved reading. So I had this like journalism internship, and I was like talking about like this company, and I was talking about the things that they were producing, and I was talking about the deals that they were making. And I think like that like Davis and San Diego, Santa Barbara, like or whatever, they liked that I was doing something that like meant something to me. Like I enjoyed writing, I enjoyed finance, like I found something that combined both. I didn't take any community college courses, but I know people who did, and they get to transfer those units over. So it just shows that like you're extra academic, and that's obviously really great too. But I don't know which colleges prefer more, but I think as long as like you're doing something that makes you happy and you're like really doing it for yourself and you're the best at it, I think like it doesn't really matter if you do an internship or community college courses. Oh, there's like a bunch of questions. Are you gonna like read them to me? Oh, wait, sorry. I can't hear you.
I was muted, huh?
Yeah.
Um, how many AP subjects have you taken if you're comfortable sharing?
Okay. I don't know the number on the top of my head, but I can think about it. So I think I took two. I took AP Spanish and AP European History my sophomore year. I took AP US History, AP Chem. Honors English was a weighted class in the junior year. What else? Oh, and AP Psychology. So that was like four-ish then. And then senior year, I took what did I take senior year? I took Econ Gov, that's like two, and then I took um hmm,
Statistics? AP
statistics. I took statistics, yeah. So that was another one. Oh, AP literature. So yeah, four there. So yeah. So it's like 8, 10, 10.
Okay, that's pretty cool. The next question was, have you taken the SAT or the ACT exam? And does it really help with your major?
Okay, well, back when I was in high school, we all had to take it. So I did take the SAT and I didn't do any of those like SAT prep classes. I like had a private tutor that came in like once every 2 weeks and kind of tested me on what I knew and what I didn't know. And I was just, I think in general, I'm more of like an independent learner. So he would just kind of help me and then I would kind of do it myself. But that was really great. And then does it help with your major? It absolutely does not. It does not teach you anything. It's literally just a stupid exam to get you into college. But beyond that, it really doesn't help you in life at all. I will say that there are some similarities in the SAT and ACT and the GMAT, which is the exam that you take in order to get to the business school or like any business school. And that's like a little nice, I guess, because all like the tricky math questions, like they make a reappearance in your GMAT. So if you, but that's even if you want to do the GMAT, like a lot of people don't. So again, it's once again very useless. So yeah.
Okay. Um, I think the next question is, what languages are offered, or what languages did you take in college? And if we haven't taken AP Spanish, then can we take it in college?
Yeah, so I didn't take any languages in college because I took AP Spanish my sophomore year of high school, and I really liked Spanish. Like I really liked learning a new language, so I thoroughly enjoyed my AP Spanish class, and I did pretty well on the AP exam, so I was excused from taking languages in college. However, there are a lot of languages that you could take in college, and a lot of my friends that didn't take AP language in high school, sorry. They took like Hindi, they took like Korean, they took Chinese. Like there's just so many languages that you can take. And I've heard from many different people that the introductory classes in those languages are actually really fun because the professors try to make it fun so that you continue to take more like classes in that language. Um, but yeah, I think colleges these days do require that you take some language if you didn't do the AP exam in high school. And I think that's pretty standard for a lot of colleges now.
Yep. Um, I think that was it in the questions. Do a quick scroll through. Yeah, I think that was it. If anyone has any more questions, feel free to unmute themselves. Just give like a minute or two. Okay, someone has a question. If we still study any APs through UC Scout, do we have to write the final test through College Board that College Board conducts and add it to an application?
Yeah, so I didn't self-study any APs, but from my understanding, like even if you do self-study any APs, you still have to do the test in College Board because otherwise, like there is no real way for the college to evaluate how much you've understood the subject. So like even if you self-studied, like you still have to take the test and the college, and I feel like you just should take the test anyways because then the college can maybe excuse you from that introductory course in their program. So I would just say take the test. But if you self-study and you don't take the test, I don't think the college is going to recognize that you really did anything. So
Okay.
What I understood is if we didn't write any AP Spanish, then they have to take any basic course, any language course in college for compulsory for sure, right?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, and I think that's the case for UCs, but I don't know for like out of state or privates.
Oh, okay, okay. And that coming to that self-study APs, do you suggest or don't you you don't suggest to take, because my school doesn't offer AP computer science principles. Only it gives AP computer science A in 10th or 11th grade, I think so. So I was thinking before writing that, do you think computer science AP computer science principles by now in ninth grade, do you suggest to write through that BYU or UC Scout or not?
Um, So I don't really know too much about AP computer science, but I think it
Okay.
would be a good idea to do it because if your son is planning to apply into computer science, like it only looks better for him to know that he knows more about the subject before he goes into college. So I think it'll look good on his application. Do I think he's going to be excused from any classes in college because he did this? No, he's probably going to still have to take the same colleges, but at least like he'll get into the college. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. So one of the questions was, oops, sorry. I think it was previously mentioned that we should have to take the same intro to computer science course in UC.
Yeah.
Based on that, I wonder how much is CS related courses would have impact on the application. So I think you previously mentioned that if you're taking a class in high school like APCSA, you might have to redo that same course in college. So how much of an impact does the APCSA have on your college application?
I think it still has some impact. And I only say that because, like, if you've, like, for example, in my situation, if I never did anything like econ and statistics related, and suddenly was like, I found a passion in like economics, like, I don't think any college is gonna like buy that. So I think like you still have to take those courses to show that like you've learned something for them. And again, like, the ultimate goal of any of these colleges is to make money, right? So, like, they're gonna make you retake those courses because they want you to stay at the school longer and like like jeopardize your GPA in that process. But I think you still need to take those like CS related courses, or in my case, like statistics or econ, because like colleges need to know that you do know when you say that you're passionate about a subject, like you are genuinely passionate about that subject because you know what that subject means. And I think in that way, like it kind of like builds some credibility around your application. So in that way, I would say that you should still take them. But I also don't think you should go like above and beyond for like no absolute reason. Like, I'm trying to like think of an example, but like if you are like, I want to say like a physics major, or I guess that's a bad example. Or yeah, if you're like a chemistry major, if you're trying to go to like med school, there's like no reason for you to take like all like I think there's 3 AP physics exams, right? And like and obviously like you're still gonna have to take all the physics like classes in college anyways. But just because you want to prove that like your sciences, like you're gonna do biology, chem, and all 3 physics, like that doesn't really make any sense. Like if you want to go to med school and if you want to be a bio major, then just like take AP Bio, like if you want to take AP Chem, and like that should like warrant your interest in the subject.
I hope that clarifies the question. Uh, I think, yeah, that was the last question in the chat that I see. Again, I'll give one, okay, yeah. I'll give one or two more minutes if anyone has any questions, remaining questions. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question. Oh, okay. So there's one question in the chat. Do you think that the computer science major, or with the computer science major, AP chemistry needs to be done in high school?
Um, I don't think so. So like the only reason why I took AP chemistry in high school was because if I took AP chemistry and I did well on the exam, like I wouldn't have to take any more of those like science courses, science related courses for my major because like my major is like econ, so like I could take any science class that I wanted. Um but let's say like if you are CS, like I know at least in Davis, like in CS, you still have to take like chemistry or you can choose, but you have to take 3 classes and it can be like bio, physics, or chemistry. So like even if you do chemistry in high school, like you're probably gonna have to do chemistry again or biology or physics. So like it doesn't really make a difference. But since CS is in the College of Letters and Sciences at colleges, like it might look good on your application to do another like letters and sciences type AP, like chemistry or physics or biology, but like again you're gonna have to take the course again in college anyways.
Okay. I think with that question we can wrap it up. Again, thank you so much for coming today. It really was a pleasure speaking with you, and I'm sure a lot of the participants enjoyed the information, and it was really a lot of good information that we got. So thank you so much. I think I just saw a question in the chat. Maybe we can ask this last one, and then we can wrap up the session. So for high school, they have 6 or 7 periods similarly. Does college have 6 or 7 periods per semester?
Yeah, no. So like the whole period, like 6 to 7 classes that ends in high school, in college, based on where you go, there can be a quarter system or a semester system. At Berkeley, LA, and I want to say, no, sorry, Berkeley and Merced are the only two UC schools that have semester system. LA, Davis, San Diego, and Barbara all like go into quarter system. So the way that those systems work is in a quarter system, you have 10 weeks to learn your subject and then you get a completely new set of classes, completely new set of professors. So like realistically, like you can't take like 6 or 7 classes because it's just too much information to cram in those 10 weeks. So most students average about 3 to 4 classes in a quarter system. So in the whole year they take 12 classes total. If you are trying to graduate early like I did, then you can take like 5 classes every once in a while. And then for Berkeley and Merced, where you have a semester system, I think the semester is, I think, like 13 to 15 weeks, I think. And so since you have more time to study the subject, you can take like more classes. So usually like students at those semester schools take about like 4 to 5 classes every quarter. I mean, sorry, every semester. So they're averaging about like 10 classes for the whole year.
It's pretty cool. Yep. So with that, I think we can wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming today. Really was an honor meeting you, and I'm sure the participants got a lot of valuable information. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you so much for coming. Really hope to meet you sometime soon.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Bye.